You know, it isn't the quality of it isn't the quantity of what is said. It is the quality that is important. Now, I don't know if that was aimed at me. but really, yes. You can say an awful lot in a few words if you make an effort. And although people didn't talk a lot around the conference table, they presented their views. You understood where the other person was coming from. And you could get some back and forth. And when Rehnquist would cut it off, and he has no right to cut it off, but we understand that this thing isn't going to work unless you give the chief a little discretion in this. When the discussion became non-productive, and it becomes non-productive pretty quick, if what your point is to say I have a better argument than you, I have a better argument than you. Okay, so do I. Okay, there we are. That's going to get nowhere. What it's productive is when you listen to the person and you note where they're a little uncertain about something. And you think, do I have something to contribute to his thought about it, or her thought, from her point of view, from his point of view, not from mine. And at that point, you may get some productive discussion going. And so it isn't the amount. It's whether you're making an effort to understand that different point of view and contribute to that. And there's some of that. And sometimes it's productive and sometimes it's not. And anybody who thinks it's always productive is too optimistic. And anyone who thinks it's never productive is not a realist, but rather just too pessimistic about their fellow humans.
How did your new chief come in and handle the situation of this established court,
it's hard.
Which he now
it's
has?
Hard for. I mean, but that's okay. I mean, it takes time. It takes people say 5 years, 3 years, 5. It just does take time. And he probably knew more about it than most because he'd done a lot of arguing in the court. But for anybody, it's a very special kind of institution. Those 9 people have practices. One good practice, for example, nobody speaks twice until everybody's spoken once. Fabulous in a discussion. Any group run like that. Everybody thinks he's being fairly treated, particularly the person who would normally speak last, which was normally me, okay? But it's a very good system. Tomorrow is another day. We were fighting like mad on this case. Absolutely at loggerheads, daggers points. My goodness, we disagreed. Now we have the next case. We're allies because we see it the same way. Well, what happened to the last case? Goodbye. It's out. No hangover. No influence. Position. No. Zero. Doesn't matter. This is the next case. So, and that's just, there are many, many parts of the mores of this institution. And it takes time to adjust. That's why Dahlia Lithwick is completely right. Judge it over time, and a long time at that. We don't know. No one knows. Not the chief, not the new justices, not the old ones.
You have the impression from the press that you're very polarized. So the question is...
Well, I did think that, a year ago. But there was a mix that came up, and I saw what I thought was the court departing radically from what the precedent was. Now, they didn't share this view of majority, and so, in cases involving campaign finance, affirmative action, abortion, and several others, antitrust case. I did think that this is, and I said that in a polite way, I hope. There we are. So now we have another mix of cases this year, and there is more agreement, but still there's some disagreement, of course. Strong disagreement, too.
But the question is it just the mix of cases? Or are there some cases that people have such entrenched views, so strongly committed, that you're going to polarize, you can't reach agreement, and there are other kinds, more technical, they don't engage you, you can be unanimous? Is it just the luck of the draw that makes
You
the
think, you
docket?
mean, is it somehow somebody's moral feelings or political feelings?
Yes, how political is it? You heard this morning,
Yeah,
the
that's
journalists
what
were
you-
saying,
I know,
sometimes
they
we think
wanna
it's all
say
political, sometimes we think it's
I
not political.
know,
So
I
what's,
know.
you know, we don't know.
No.
What's the answer?
No, and what you want there is, here's the dilemma, if I'm honest about it. And this is a report on internal feeling. There's no possibility that I have it right on this, because you're asking for generalization. Anyone who thinks that deciding these difficult cases, or even ones that are less difficult, for a judge, is simply taking down some statute somewhere, reading the text, and then just looking at a precedent, somehow you get out a mechanical answer, that's wrong. That isn't what we do. That isn't what lawyers do. And in my opinion, that's wrong. It's not some kind of mechanical process. And if it were, let's have computers do it. You don't need judges. All right? Now, anyone who thinks, the temptation is, and a lot of very good friends of mine, Judge Posner thinks this, I think, from what he's written. You think, all right, you say, well, it isn't that. Okay, here's what they do up there. It's political. That's not my experience. That's not my experience. I think no one thinks he's being political. And you say, okay, if it's not this, and it's not that, well then what is it? Well, now I'm back to what I'm trying to write about. Now, the two reasons I can't tell you is because I don't want to spoil the book. And also I haven't quite it through yet. I mean, Holmes has something, if you take that notion, there are certain can't helps. And the can't helps don't just count moral can't helps. A person who is in our profession, who has worked in this profession for many years, has everything melded together in his life professionally. And it's law, it's a legal reaction. And there are certain basic ideas, and I think I'm going to try to list a few, and purpose is one of them, in statutes and so forth. But there are certain basic ideas that what I'd say, the word I use, is it informs your reaction. It doesn't dictate your reaction. It informs the reaction. So I'm going to try to write a few of these down and try to explain to you how it is not so complicated you need a million things, but you can't reduce it to one thing. And it's sort of different in different areas of the law that I think inform what I'd call these can't helps. Democracy was one of them. A lot of people who read this book took it as if I were trying to lay out a theory. I'm not. I say it's not a theory. The democratic idea underlying the Constitution is a concept that informs a large number of decisions, i.e., it helps me to think about that when I'm in one of these areas where, as I say, it's a vacuum. In the equal protection area. And I think about how that basic notion could lead a person to a result more this way or a result more that way, and I try to explain it in the opinion. Now, that doesn't mean thinking of the Constitution as founded basically on democracy is going to dictate an answer. It isn't. Now, you see the kind of thing I'm trying to do? And I don't think that by no means is that political, and by no means it's mechanical. And you get different results with different people, to a degree.
You say no one thinks they're being political. Do you ever think that they're being political?
Do I ever think they're being political? Well, look, in the sense, political to me, I did work in the Senate. You mean in the sense, political to somebody who worked in that, as many of you have, I mean, who was popular? Are you a Democrat or Republican? Which party is going to win? Which is the popular candidate? No, I don't think we think we're doing that. And if you no, and I don't think they're doing that. Now, does the, and I say they means somebody I'm opposed to in a particular case. No, I don't think they're ideology. Do you think it's just they're just doing this with? No, I don't think it's ideological exactly, because I think if Adam Smith, free enterpriser, Chinese Maoist troublemaker or whatever, I don't think ideology. No, I don't think it's that. And you say, well, is it that I went to Lowell High School? Okay, you're into a psychoanalytic report. I mean, it isn't quite that. You can't escape your own background and your views of law. So it's not political, but you are shaped in the law to be the kind